You're listening to Around Comics. 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 Comics.
You are listening to Around Comics, the comic book podcast, episode 400.
Spring break edition.
Spring break edition, yes. We finally got back together. It's episode 422. It is Thursday. We are back together after, what's it been, like 3 weeks?
Like 2 months. It feels like 2 fucking months since I've seen any of you guys.
Ready to burst. It's been so long. He's only had his dogs and Marta to talk to. And curlers. He's had
I was out curling in Pittsburgh, and it was fun.
I think I'm going to be a Steelers fan. I think I've given up on the Bears. I think I'm ready to be a Steelers fan.
Man.
No, I'm not. I don't care about sports.
You know you're going to be a Vikings fan. You know what's coming.
No, fuck no, never. No, I'd be a Packers fan before I was a Vikings fan. That's how.
And that's disgusting. Yeah. Because I live in Wisconsin now, and those people are fucking insane.
That's what makes them good fans.
Goddamn cold.
All right,
Tom, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I miss you guys.
I'm fine.
What is that? What is that hat you're wearing? It looks like a Rorschach or something.
This is my.
I didn't expect.
I'm gonna butcher the name. It's the Hanshu Tigers. It's one of my Japanese baseball.
Oh, for God's sake! You know, there's not enough baseball teams.
Got a sweet tiger.
You don't have enough baseball teams you already root for. I mean, you have like 7. You had to go to Japan to get some.
Anyone that plays for this team. I've got stuff falling on me. All right. It's my Hanshin Tigers Japanese baseball hat. You want me to switch to my Hiroshima Carp hat? It's also one of my favorites.
You have too much time on your hands, I think, is what this comes down to.
I don't have children.
Yeah.
You are your own children.
You are your own child. Yeah.
It's a pretty sweet hat, though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is cool. It looks like a TH. It kind of looks like a Trump hat. A little.
It's an
It looks
It
like
kind of looks like a Trump hat.
Trump hotel. It's
Trump.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I don't miss you guys anymore. Hey, so we talked about this a little bit off show because we've all been busy, kind of like around comic spring break. We're not going to be able to do Around Comics TV because we have K-Billy Super Sounds that I think we're finally going to record in like the next week or two, talking about Django Unchained. So we haven't really. At some point, Sal is going to become available to talk about Django Unchained. But until we do that, we're not going to be able to record an Around Comics TV, which is a Patreon exclusive show that you can get at patreon.com/Around Comics. So I think tonight we're going to mix in some comics talk with some TV talk, which we very rarely do on this show because we do it on ACTV. So we have a ton of amazing geek TV to talk about.
Amazing geek television.
Amazing nerd television.
It is ridiculous.
Tom just wants to talk about Obi-Wan.
You want to start there?
Yeah, that's all I'm prepared to talk about.
Let's start with Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
And I want to know.
You mean old Ben Kenobi?
Old Ben, yeah.
You mean
Ben. It's just Ben.
Just old
Ben.
Tom, you wanted to talk about this, so give us your take. I have a feeling that you're very positive about this show.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I think it's actually. I'm trying to figure out the right qualifier for saying this.
It's the greatest Star Wars science. It's the greatest television show of all time.
It's the worst.
No,
the greatest or the worst.
I think I'm just really impressed that they found a way of. of taking a story that like you could be like, oh, okay, they're gonna like jam an Obi-Wan and Darth Vader story in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
I mean,
gonna
that's
just
kind of
be
the
like
that's the raindrops they have to walk between, right?
and it's like they're just gonna jam something in there and it's gonna be weird and
Jam it.
it's gonna like not totally work. And instead they made something where I'm like, oh, actually, like
It's
the
pretty
way
good.
this is going, I'm like, this actually gives more meaning to what happened in A New Hope and like actually makes it deeper and more interesting. Yeah. And they found a way to do that. And Deborah Cho should just make as much Star Wars as she wants to make because it looks rad.
Ciao.
Like they make lots of cool looking stuff and the story works really well. And it's like, it was the last episode, the one that came out yesterday, which is episode 5. Mm-hmm. Have you guys seen the newest episode? The penultimate episode of it, which I thought was the best one. I thought.
Is it the one where Vader kind of gets all Vadery again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he fucking crushes the ship and fights the one person. And,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, where he snatches it and there's the flashbacks to.
The duel. Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
Just from the first episode, you know, they give you a 6-minute teaser prelude previously in Star Wars that recaps 3 of the shittiest Star Wars movies ever made and makes them look good. Makes them look like you missed something really awesome if you hadn't seen those 3 movies.
You know, I was thinking about this. The actual story of the 3 prequels is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just overdone. It's over Lucased. It got Lucased.
If you were going to produce the backstory for Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, right? The actual story of the prequels is pretty fucking awesome. And this is where Sal will check out, but Tom and I will probably agree. I hope. I think it's fleshed out and carries even more weight and is more entertaining in the animated series than it is in the live action series.
Boo.
I think the thing that's interesting about it is that it was interesting to see flashbacks that were Vader's flashbacks.
Yeah.
Right. Where like his character, he's a character who has, you know, his own thoughts and like he remembers things and he the fact that the thing that makes him dangerous is the thing that makes him weak. And Obi-Wan knows that about him.
Yeah. And vice versa.
He's not going to be patient enough. He's not going to be patient enough to do a siege. He's going to just attack because he knows Anakin and he knows that Vader isn't like patient enough to wait them out. He's going to do like the rash thing. And like the thing being that the thing that Vader thinks makes Obi-Wan weak actually makes Obi-Wan a hero. It makes him strong, and it's like the thing that you go, oh, okay, because Obi-Wan's always been the Jedi that's like the most human, you know, like feels the most like a person, right? From like he has regrets and he, you know, like has a sense of humor and he, you know, like has frustrations and he's always felt like the most human, all of them. And when it comes down to it, and all this time, you know, when you think of A New Hope and you think of Obi-Wan talking about, you know, Vader being like, the last time we met, you know, you were the master and I was the student. And you think it's the fight on Mustafar. And it's really that Obi-Wan totally faked him out and beat him like without not being strong enough to fight him. Like he knew and what made Vader weak, like his true weaknesses, and he used those against him.
Tom, it's the 40-year-old veteran pitcher going up against the hotshot slugger. And sometimes you can't overpower them. You just have to outpitch them.
And there was like a twist on what you thought that line was of like, oh, actually, Vader is angry because Vader knows that that's why he lost. He remembers the lesson that Obi-Wan taught him about his desire for victory is his undoing. It's always his weakness. And then when you get to New Hope, his desire to defeat Obi-Wan is his weakness. And like Obi-Wan knows that Vader can't stop himself from doing the thing, from just trying to kill Obi-Wan, right? So it was like, I was like, oh my God. Like I thought about it today and I was like, oh, that's such a, like, what a cool twist to put into the story of like, actually, like the thing he's talking about is this event, unless they add another story in between. But for the sake of now, it was like you could feel that Vader is like, I got duped by Obi-Wan. He beat me like doing without there's like he can't fight him. Like, because we saw
physically,
Obi-Wan's not strong enough. Yeah. Can't beat him. Like, that's just not. But that's not what. There's other ways to fight. Besides using the lightsaber, right? Which is like the interesting twist they put on it, which I was really impressed by.
Yeah. I think Vader and Jedis are basically jujitsu black belts, is what it comes down to. It's using an opponent's aggression and strength and size against them. It's martial. I mean, Jedis are samurai. It
depends on what side you're on, because the other side uses aggression and strength,
but they're not Jedi.
They're dark Jedi.
That's not a thing. They're not dark Jedi.
They're Sith.
Right. They're not Jedi. I didn't say Sith, did I? I said fucking Jedi. That's the difference. It's basically like a jiu-jitsu black belt versus a D1 wrestler. That's the Sith versus a Jedi. And who wants to be a D1 wrestler? They're horrible. Horrible people.
Nobody wants to.
They're awful.
No one wants to fucking goading me, you fucking cunt.
No, I didn't think about that, Tom. That's a really great insight, though. I mean, the idea of like that, somebody, the creators of the show really, kind of examining Star Wars in a way that rarely gets done, which is sort of emotionally and what are the characters' motivations and what are they thinking, and then doing some, a prequel, that kind of stuff from that angle, as opposed to just what most fans and I think a lot of people that have made some Star Wars things is like, it's like this plot thing of like, well, how do we fill in the plot holes, or how do we fill in the gaps in between the story, as opposed to, well, how do we think about the emotions, the motivations, and what
emotional weight, and out of all the relationship, if you're going to say a relationship in Star Wars, I mean the Ben and Anakin relationship, probably the weightiest of the relationships in the the whole mythos of Star Wars. It's I mean, that's the one that you have to look back on. That's the most painful relationship. Even
it's the one that's really been dealt with the most. I mean, if you look at
it's the great betrayal, right?
Yeah, it's Shakespearean.
Yeah, and also Ewan McGregor is just like extremely watchable.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's great at the character. So it's like, and the way that they shoot Vader in it, and the way that they use him as like, they do such a good job of making him like when they were fighting and he's chasing Obi-Wan Kenobi in the dark. Right. And like Vader like pops out of nowhere, and then Vader like sets the ground on fire and he's gonna like burn Obi-Wan. Like it's really visceral and very like terrifying, and like Vader's very scary. You like understand like how scary he is. Even more than he's like
Frankenstein or he's a universal monster. You know what I mean?
He's
like
all of the universal monsters.
Yeah, he just has
Frankenstein and Dracula and all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's so like, it's like, people always talk about the end of Rogue One being like, oh, that's like a really scary Vader. But it's like, I think actually in this one he's more afraid because he's very like, he's just like killing people. He just is like snapping people's necks. He's just like, I saw it, this is a whole other thing where people are like, well, why didn't he just like grab Obi-Wan when all the flames were surrounding him? I was like, that's not the point. The point is Vader thinks he can get him whenever he wants.
He's toying with him.
He's toying with him.
Well, he wants it. He wants him to suffer. He wants him to burn.
Yeah, he wants him to admit he's lost. Like in the flashback, he just wants Obi-Wan to admit that that Vader's defeated him. That like he's got the upper hand. So he's not like, it's not about like a tactical victory of like, I've defeated Obi-Wan Kenobi and this is like a tactical win. It's like purely vengeance and cruelty.
Yeah,
and
there is no reason. Obi-Wan's been hiding on a desert planet for a decade. There's no practical reason from a strategic standpoint of the Empire that he needs to be, all these resources need to hunt him down. There's no reason for it whatsoever. And yet,
other than Vader wants victory.
He's obsessed.
He's obsessed with him.
Yeah.
He, and probably in his mind, can't truly become ascendant until he defeats his master, right?
He's Obi-Wan's bitch. He's
Obi-Wan's bitch.
Obi-Wan is living rent free.
He's never been.
I mean, they do such a good job in how they shoot it. Of like, somehow they get Vader in a mask you get that the way they frame it up of like, that he is like, Obi-Wan defeated me again, and like I lost for the same reason I always lose to him. And
even the fight that he has with the Inquisitor, Reva,
the third sister.
He's toying with her. He could defeat her.
He's never in danger.
Yeah, it's just
ever.
It's not a it's not a fight out of necessity. He's enjoying himself. He's being cruel and vicious, and that's what makes him terrifying. Is he's this very powerful. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you want people with power to be like Obi-Wan, to have kindness and a sense of humor and self-reflection. And Vader is none of those things. He's all ego and just cruelty, and he's the ultimate. That's what makes him kind of the ultimate bad guy. One of the greatest villains. But I think
all he wants to do is win bigly.
Yeah. I agree though. Like the end of Rogue One, I thought that was kind of disappointing because it's like I didn't think it made Vader more interesting or more imposing. It just was like
made him more of a badass.
Yeah, but who gives a shit? I mean, that it's like, to me, it's what Tom, like what you're saying of like, most of the time, whenever we see something revealed about the history of these characters, it's disappointing because your imagination is better than the reality of it. And so not seeing Vader wade through 30 guys, but knowing that he could, for 30 years, 40 years, knowing that makes him, I think, more impressive than that one scene. But in this, they like you said, they frame it and they choreograph it.
Yeah.
So it's not a physical thing necessarily, but it is this
just like
posing menace.
He's menacing and he's smart and he knows what Obi-Wan's doing. Like, right when he's like, he was, Obi-Wan was wise to use you against me. Like he anticipates these, like, but he's like very powerful and very strategic, but he has a weakness, which
he loses his shit.
Desire. He knows it, right? And like that's why I thought that whole like the way they used that flashback sequence as you're watching it sort of unfold as the story unfolds of like, like I thought that was great. It was like just really great storytelling of like, like the fact that it's Vader's memory and it's Vader remembering this lesson that Obi-Wan had tried to teach him before, and like he's being taught it once again. Like
and he's still trying to disprove it. He still doesn't believe it, and he's still Even and it is interesting because you look at like when they meet in A New Hope, and it's now the student has become the master, and it's like I've fooled you, I tricked you into coming here, and once again, but he still has
Ben wins again.
Yeah.
And even though Obi-Wan tells him, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can imagine, he can't stop himself from doing it. He has to do it. Like that's his victory. And even though it's exactly the thing that Obi-Wan wants him to do, he knows Vader won't be able to stop himself.
It's
from
very
doing
cool how they have kept that thematically relevant and not relevant, important to that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing. It's got to be the hard thing as a writer. It's like how the story ends.
Yeah.
You know where these two characters end up. How do you make it interesting?
They just found like a cool way of like just the simple fact of like Vader having a flashback, like showing Vader having any thought. Or like
I was kind of hoping for a Cobra Kai kind of, Ben was the bad guy sort of thing, which they kind of in some ways have done over the years, but I will say, can we give a little shout out to Hayden Christensen for in the flashback scenes, which are obviously not really flashback, but it reminded me that even back in the Preludes, he was really good with a lightsaber. Like he was really athletic.
Oh yeah, he's very athletic.
He was very good with it, and it showed. He must have trained pretty hard. Because you even see it in this. Like he is really good with that thing, and it shows in the choreography.
And not just to focus on the last episode, because that was the one I just watched, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. But just like tapping into the same stuff that the Mandalorian tapped into of like, okay, well, we're gonna pull from Samurai Sword. Like the end of the first episode when you see Obi-Wan like pull his cloak back and you see that he has his lightsaber on, and it's like, well, that could just be a cowboy with his 6-shooter. It's such like a perfect like little like
it's
moment of
like Western, right?
Or it's like so it's just finding those. So it's very extremely well done. And I'm just like, oh, like, or even the stuff with the third sister and who she is, and like the idea of like the trauma and like what essentially Obi-Wan's failure and Anakin, the things Anakin did, and what effect that had on other people, and like
they're not the only people in this universe.
Yeah, like what Anakin did was like. It was awful, especially in light of many things happening in the real world, right? They had to put that warning in front of it, and I was like, and then I was like, you need to put that warning in front of what happens.
Children being slaughtered.
Yeah, and it's like, it was just a very interesting and very impressive way of telling a story that I was kind of like, I'm sure it'll be okay because like Ewan McGregor's really good as Obi-Wan, and like he'll be very watchable, and there'll be like some cool stuff. And maybe my expectations were sort of tamped down by the Book of Boba Fett, which was just sort of like really dumb and at times fun and at times just sort of dumb, to like getting something that was like, oh, actually this is really like kind of interesting and like much
between Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. It's I was gonna say, like, I think Mandalorian, the first season's so great and such a great like rejuvenation, but I just think there's so many. I mean, some of the best episodes of the Mandalorian, the same director did it, and you can kind of see like the way she approaches like the storytelling and how like the universe feels and how like fight scenes should feel. Yes, yeah. What
and how like,
oh god, it's the Bill Burr character.
I couldn't not.
I think I need to get that. Which one is it? Okay, Miggs Mayfield.
I couldn't not You guys were talking
I
about.
Just have to order this right now before I forget.
I had to. I mean, it was Bill Burr as a Star Wars character. I haven't bought a Star Wars action figure in quite a long time, but I had to get the Bill Burr Miggs character action figure from the Mandalorian. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tom.
No, that's okay. I'm done. I could talk about forever, but I'm also like the whole like swerve of like it's actually about Leia and not Luke, which is kind of like a fun like, oh, that wasn't what I was that wasn't what I was expecting. They like found little ways to like do unexpected things, right? And like kind of like absolutely. And like kind of catch you off guard, and then drop some like Anakin's just Vader's never gonna learn his lesson. He's just never gonna. He can't. He can't help himself.
It's hubris.
He can't help himself.
It's hubris. Yeah. He can't. I will say this. The other thing I noticed. I'm assuming they're using like practical lightsabers because the lighting when they light up those lights, it's so cool looking now that they have actual light reflecting off of Vader's costume, the red. And it's really amazing looking. I'm assuming it's real light. They're just like using the really, high end lightsabers. That why wouldn't you? But it adds such a great element that was never there in the movies before because it was all CGI and they, but now you see
and just like the set pieces where like Obi-Wan is fighting the two stormtroopers in the dark. And you just see like, and like they still find like just these cool fight scene moments that like maybe we haven't quite seen before done this way in Star Wars. So it's like it's not just like the story, like the interesting story stuff. They've also done like just like how do you do like this cool fight scene like in a way that we haven't quite seen before, and like so kudos, a successful story. I'm pumped. I'm like a little sad that the next one's the last one because I've been enjoying it so much, and I'm kind of like
I don't remember the last TV show pop culture kind of thing that you've been this excited about, honestly.
Because I was like, oh, this is really good. And like I also would say that like I think a lot of things are built now. Well, I think a lot of things just in general are built not to like think about at all after you've watched it, right? And like
move on to the next.
Don't think about it too much. So that's why I find like the angle they took on it so interesting, because when you think about it and you think about like in the context of A New Hope, and you're like, actually that makes that whole conversation like really interesting in a way that I didn't think of it as like what it meant when, what it means when Vader's like, now I'm the master, like that sense of like you like you got me last time.
But not this time.
Different, not this time. And like the way Obi-Wan is just like he knows what Vader's gonna do. Like he's always known, like that's what Anakin's like. That's like
he's always loved him, but he's always been at his core just trustful of what Anakin is capable of from the very beginning.
I will say there's a couple of things in it that I'm sort of disappointed with, but mostly it's really, really good. The only thing like I'm it's fun, but it's also kind of annoying to me in some way that every time Obi-Wan gets in trouble, he gets bailed out by somebody, which is sort of like, okay, is he ever going to save himself? Is he ever? Like there's constantly someone saving his ass.
Save him at the last minute.
You keep waiting for him to be a badass.
Well, not so much that, but it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things like a sort of writer's rule of like, it's almost like a Deus Ex Machina constantly. Like something he get you put him in this incredible danger. How's he going to get out of this? How is he going to get out of this? Oh, well, someone's going to save him. As opposed to he's going to save himself some clever way. It's kind of like, the first time I was like, okay. The second time I was like, okay, and then the third time I'm like, what the fuck?
I know what you're talking about. It's super like meta nerdy whenever you're like suspension of disbelief in a Star Wars universe, where you're like, oh yeah, 2 decommissioned snow speeders are going to be able to overrun an Imperial outpost by themselves.
And when did they start hovering like that? That was
right. Yeah.
They can just hover and stop.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the worst nerd ever.
I know. That's why I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was like, oh, just no.
Yeah. But there was part of me was just like, wait a minute, how did they get into airspace on this?
Right.
You know, what the fuck? Who's running the radar?
Do we not?
J.J. Abrams has established that you can just fly up to anything.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, there's no
and like
anti-aircraft.
Yeah,
It's
just the rules now. The rules are you can just fly up to it.
Just fly up to it. It's fine.
So I'll say I agree with Tom in that there's some fascinating character explorations. There's some major plot issues.
I don't know. I like I said, I've enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it's really good.
Sure.
There was just a couple of little things I wanted to nitpick on, but the other one was, and not this is like really super. You have to kind of let this shit go in Star Wars.
Yes,
but it's like, okay, if Leia and Obi-Wan had this adventure together, why is it in A New Hope she's like, you fought for my father in the Clone Wars, General Kenobi? Like she didn't know him. What
they're
the fuck,
gonna change that. They're gonna change that.
They're
gonna go back.
They will explain that. They will.
They'll explain it in the episode in the show. She gets a concussion and forgets.
And it will. I don't know.
No, they're gonna just change A New Hope. They're just gonna change A New Hope.
Go back and remaster the audio.
Redo it. Yeah, they're gonna just redo it. It's like you saved me once before.
I mean, she is only like 10, so I guess she could forget, right? Like you could certainly by the time you're in, I don't know. But that's once again, it's like, you know, that one was actually brought up by a friend of mine. He's like, oh, I don't know. After the first episode, he's like complaining about it. I'm like, listen, you got to remember that movie was not supposed to go on for 40 fucking years. It was, 60 years.
Most likely one movie deal.
Yeah. He didn't have the money to make another one. He wasn't planning on it going on for 60 years and 12 movies. And, nobody planned. So you got to kind of let that stuff go a little bit. You got to, just let it slide. Okay. They're brother and sister. We get it. Okay. Let it slide. They kiss.
I love that Wayne is chiming in on the comment section. Is how do you fit 2 adults and a child in the backseat of a snowspeeder?
There you go. You gotta let that stuff go, man. It is what it is.
Not comfortable. It's not comfortable.
Hey, when you're escaping for your life from
you'll find a way to fit into a
magazine. You'll squeeze in. Me and 6 buddies squeeze in the back of a hatchback once. Yeah, come on.
I fit 3 people in a trunk before to get into a drive-in movie theater.
There you go.
Right?
That's some American Graffiti.
I'm old, Tom.
It was 2 or 3 friends.
It was Southern Illinois. They were like 30 years behind the rest of the country.
It was like the 50s.
In 1987.
Me and my 2 greaser friends.
Like Fright Night or something like that. It was always a double feature. So it would have been like Raiders of the Lost Ark and some terrible fucking movie at that point. I want to switch gears, stay with the same network.
Disney?
Yeah, with Disney Plus. Did
Monolith?
one of you watch Miss Marvel, the first episode?
Not yet. It's next on my list of things after Obi-Wan.
It's really good. It is exactly, you watch it, and it is exactly what they want it to be, which is a Disney kids show that takes place in the MCU. And it is not for any of the 3 of us. It is for the Disney kids audience that is fascinated by superheroes.
I'm gonna watch.
It is fantastic.
I'm gonna watch and I'm gonna complain about it.
Yes, I know you will. Like,
it's not for me, but it's certainly. I'm certainly gonna have a lot of thoughts about it.
It is smart. It is well written. The production values are fantastic. It is a great show that I probably won't watch the rest of, and that's fine because it's not targeted towards me.
What is this? Some sort of fucking?
It doesn't need to be.
Is this some sort of like? Is this the white guilt segment? What are we doing here?
No. I'm just like, no. It's
not
really
for me.
But
I know it's great. It's
the best show I've ever seen. It's not for me, but it's the greatest television show
No, I'm
It's
just
great.
know
I'm not
that
going to watch
something can be
another
really
episode.
good and not be for me to watch. Right?
You did your part as an ally to the children.
Good. If
I
that
don't
came
know.
true, then I have accomplished my goal, Sal.
I have no plan of watching it. I know it's not for
Fuck,
me, and I don't give a shit about that character, and I never have.
But that's fine, and it's good. So we'll talk about something else. How about spin the wheel? Do we want to talk about Star Trek or Stranger Things?
Yeah, either one. I've watched everything. I've watched it all.
You watched it all?
Watch it all.
Okay, I want to talk about Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds.
It's fucking
Star
awesome.
Trek.
It makes me excited about watching Star Trek again. It is so good.
I will say I think Pike is becoming my favorite captain. And I love that he is the Boy Scout that doesn't want to be a Boy Scout in this last episode, which was really terrific. And
Anson Mount is great, but the character I described to people is like it's Captain Kirk, but emotionally available.
Yeah, well, Kirk was, I don't know, I don't think he's Kirk so much, honestly. I think
there's a lot of Kirk there.
Yeah, I don't think he's nearly as much
the
of
hair alone, right?
The hair's amazing. The hair is I hope to have that.
Whatever the last episode where they have like the pan out
from his hair, and it's just like
I'm like, is that fucking like 5 inches tall?
Yeah,
amazing.
It's pretty unbelievable. Yeah, he's got hair. He's got good hair. Good hair. But I think there's a lot of difference between him and Kirk. I mean, Kirk was, Kirk was certainly more of a maverick kind of a character. He was a bit of a ladies' man. He was a very 60s sort of like, almost a spy or something.
Where he was the James Bond. That's
captain. Where I think Pike is much more. I mean, he is a Boy Scout. He is the nice guy. He is, a bit of a cowboy, but he's more like Captain America or something. He
wants to believe in people.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and he does the right
thing.
He's a solid dude. He's a solid guy.
He makes good people better.
He does have his ladies. I mean, he's an attractive
this last
captain.
Episode, okay, here we go.
It was an interesting episode. This last one was certainly interesting, but I've enjoyed it. I mean, I love that it's a episodic TV show, that it's every episode is sort of its own thing, and they keep referencing going back to stuff.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's great, but I love that every episode is sort of its own standalone thing.
And I think, one thing that I've kind of picked up with it is that they take classic, the original series, if not even storylines, just plot concepts, and they throw them back, put them into a blender, throw them back out, and you're like, oh, okay, I've seen this before, but then they put that very interesting spin on it that you haven't seen before. So it's familiar but new at the same time. Yeah, and I guess this last episode was actually an unused Roddenberry either script or concept, and so it felt very 1960s Star Trek concept in what it was trying to convey. So I think they're basically embracing that 1960s Roddenberry is kind of the anchor point.
Yeah, I mean it's a Star Trek from the beginning was a show about something, but it was a silly sci-fi show. It was a fun sci-fi show, but with a kind of heart of trying to show us at our best.
It was almost subversive in
almost.
Well, it was very subversive.
Majorly, And I think that's maybe
civil rights issues.
Yeah, for sure. And this one is doing the same kind of thing. I mean, this episode, is about identity and very much about, Spock's Vulcan and human, sides. And then I can't think of the character's name, the villain in the show, this episode, that's a trans actress. And they don't really make an issue of that in the show necessarily. I mean, she's just playing a part. She's great. And she's, probably a reoccurring character. That was like, I knew that character was going to be fine in the end of the episode, because I was like, oh, that character's too good. That's a reoccurring role for sure. That character's coming back because she's
it's a very socially aware show, but it is very smartly written and executed in a way that you're aware of it, but not over aware of it.
It's entertainment first. It's entertaining, and then hey, guess what? We'll also give you a message. It's not just like I think we talked about this before. Like Discovery it felt very much like, well, we have a message, and then maybe we'll get to a show. And it's just like kind of boring. But where this is this is a silly, entertaining, fun Star Trek space adventure show
first, and educate me next.
Edutainment. It's edutainment. I love it. I'm having a blast watching it. It's super fun, and I get misty every time that goddamn intro. I'm so old. You
never skip through it. You're like,
no.
I
watch it.
Big fucking warm blanket, isn't it?
You got some intros you just have to watch every time.
Yeah, every single time. I never skip over it. But I get I'm so filled with estrogen at this point in my old life. I have no more testosterone in my body. It's just I get misty. Yep. I know. It's just, especially the little at the end where it's just it's the weird, and it's created by Gene Roddenberry. And then it's the weird, and it's just like, oh, Jesus, every time gets me.
So the show I'm watching that gets me emotionally every time is The Boys.
I get that creates some emotions for sure.
It does, and it's gotten fucking even more horrible this year.
Well, that show, I mean, they love being irreverent. Like that entire cast.
You want to torture people? You want to shock people? Watch The fucking Boys. You're like, you were just saying, on Star Trek, it's like, this is going to be a reoccurring character. And in The Boys, you're like, this is going to be a reoccurring. Oh, Jesus Christ! And beheading.
They're very much on the whole. It seems like the entire production is very much enjoying being irreverent and out of just bloody as hell. And I mean, they find like really horrible ways to do everything. It's just the whole fucking dildo fight scene was just all right. Yeah, why not? I mean,
all right. We're gonna kill people with dildos.
They just keep finding new ways to murder people in bizarre. But it's like, and there was another show I just want to mention after this, but they just like they twist the knife with Homelander. I mean, that scene, that last, thing, I'm not going to give it away, but the reveal with Homelander is just so vicious and horrible and awful. And it's just like, oh God, he's so evil. He's so fucking evil. And they just love, and the actor is just amazing at it. He's so good at being that psychopath. But
the reinforcement of the lack of hope and lack of power against him.
If Superman was an asshole.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to mention was, are you caught up? Have you caught up on Barry?
No.
Holy fuck.
I heard it got really fucking dark.
Like to the point where I'm not sure I want to watch it anymore. It got so dark. Like it is.
I've heard, like, I had a few friends who were like, the sort of comedy drama balance
is kind of out the window.
Yeah.
But it's also fascinating. Like there's a episode, not the last episode of the season, but I think the penultimate episode was directed by Bill Hader. And there's a scene where he's it's a high speed motorcycle chase on a highway, and he directed it, and it's one of the most interesting. I've never seen anyone do it quite like this as far as how the chase scene goes, and it was one of the most interesting sort of ways to film a high speed chase. There was some humor in, but it was just like, wow, this is really fascinating. That's the thing about that show is it has gotten super dark, and there is some comedy to it, but it's way darker than it is funny at this point. But it's also fascinating the way that it's made. Like they do some really interesting work, and I don't know if it's whether it's out of budget or just imagination, but I don't know if Bill Hader's just a fucking genius. I mean, I think he is.
Serious weight to it, and Hader, Hader's a genius. He is an entertainment genius for the range that he has and the creativity. Yeah, it's
pretty amazing. But this last season is, I mean, I'm sure the actors all enjoyed it, but the last episode is just kind of one scene of horror, and not horror like in a visceral sense, in a psychological way, where these characters are going through horrible things, and you just see it all over their faces. Like every one of them is experiencing dread and terror and horror, like, and it's just like so much crying and red-faced, and it was really something else, you know. I have a hard time not watching it, but I have a hard time watching it as well. It's just like, god damn. So
well, I told you I stopped watching, and I will start again at the end of season 1. It was the moment of like pure happiness, and then things go off the rails. I'm just like, you know, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pick it back up whenever I'm in a mental place to handle that Barry's happiness has been stolen from him, because I know that.
Well, don't even
meat grinder.
Don't even.
You know,
you probably shouldn't even watch season 3. To be honest with you, it's if season 1 is getting to be too much, forget it. Season 3, might put you.
Now, I watch a lot of serious TV. There's a point where I'm just like, I need to watch. Okay, it's in my video game life too, because I just they put Dying Light, the definitive edition, on sale, and that is an amazing game. Dying Light is awesome, but there's a point where I'm just like, this is, my heart rate is going. I'm tense. I love
to just play some like Mario Party.
Mario Party, just to get out of it.
I need some Mario Kart or something, because it's like all of my entertainment is like really fucking serious.
Everything's falling apart. And you're an idiot for thinking anything else other than entropy,
right?
Undefeated.
Yeah, I'm not watching a lot of fucking comedies. So like Barry, was funny, but had
that's over. No fun.
It's not funny now.
It's not. It still has a few moments of humor, but very rare. Now it's like
Hank.
Abject terror and bleak, horror, and then there's a couple of minutes of funniness somewhere here and there. But
I guess that's what a quick sidestep back to Strange New Worlds. That does give me that kind of like shiny, bright, hopeful show
for sure,
and message that I need in my life, and that it is incredibly hopeful, and that's a good thing to have.
It is, I agree. I think that's part of the reason I'm enjoying it so much too. Is it's just like, oh, this is just fun. I can just have fun with it. I know everybody's going to be fine. Maybe
the captain's not fucking everyone and has a cocaine habit that he's trying to, cover up from Starfleet, and it's like the guy in engineering is,
Well, wait for Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie for that.
Right? He's like, no, I really don't. I don't need that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure there's fan fiction out there.
No, I can only imagine.
what else? There was one other that I want. So we talked about The Boys, Strange New Worlds, Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel,
Stranger Things. Did we talk about Stranger Things? It's too much to go into. We don't have time.
I mean, we can talk about Stranger Things and how amazing it is. Do we want to, save it till the second half of season 4 drops here in a couple weeks?
Sure.
All right. Listen to that on ACTV, which you can get by being a patron.
Once in a while. Not right now.
Hey,
not right now, but
that's your
someday.
work schedule, not mine, sir.
We all contributed to this long layoff. Let's not.
I know, I was in
come
Pittsburgh.
on.
Yeah, no, everyone had a piece. All right, so before the show, we talked about what we wanted to talk about tonight, and in order. And we didn't want to lead off the show with bad tidings and a somber note. But we definitely wanted to talk about today's passing of Tim Sal and talk a little bit about his career and what he meant to us and to comics, because he was, I put him in that masterclass category of comic artists, and he was an important creator.
It's been a rough year already for legendary comic book.
I'm tired of this.
I just happened to see it literally a couple hours ago. I was, I've been offline for weeks now, really. I mean, I jump on Twitter every once in a while, but I just don't spend that much time on social media anymore. But I happened to see it, somebody, Ron Salas, I think, had posted something about it. And he posted a post, and it was just like, Tim Sale was so good. And then he posted some art, and I'm like, what do you mean did Tim Sale die? And then I found out he had died, and 66 years old. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know any of the details about, what happened or whatever, but I think he had been sick for a while.
But his production had dropped off. We hadn't seen anything from Tim Sale in a long time, but I knew how amazing Tim Sale was as an artist. He's one of my favorites. He's in that Darwin Cook, Tim, Bruce Timm school. The amazing. He's the out of the Alex Toth school, I guess you would say. And so I had a huge reverence for him. But it was how I found out was Marta came into my office today, and she looked at me and she was like, "You've talked about Tim Sale before, right?" And I just looked at her and I was like, "Oh, Jesus, don't tell me he died." And she just kind of looked at me, didn't say anything, and walked out. I'm like, "Oh, okay." If my wife,
the harbinger of
if my wife is the one that's going to tell me that Tim Sale died, I mean, that talks to you about his cultural importance, right? He was a fantastic comic artist.
Yeah, I first noticed Tim Sale when he was doing Myth Adventures, was a series of books by Robert Asprin that I absolutely loved when I was a kid, and I read every single one of them just over and over again. I loved those books, and he had done some covers, and then he did some of the graphic. I think he was doing covers for the comic book stuff that was being done by Phil Folio. I can't think of how you say his name. Phil Foglio, something like that. But at that time, like I never would have thought he would have been a comic book artist at the level that he ended up being, and had done some of the best stuff, some of the stuff that I love absolutely the most in all of comics. Whether it is, all of his stuff with Jeff Loeb, I just absolutely adore.
He's
all
the
of
guy.
it.
It's like I would have his art in my living room.
Yeah, I mean, as a shitty artist myself, like he's one of those guys that I just looked at and was always just like, man, I wish I could draw like that. I just wish I could draw characters that way, and just his ability to sort of absolutely push characters to the extreme, and yet you still knew who they were. I mean, if you look at some of his stuff from the Batman stuff that he did, the Long Halloween or Dark Victory. It's like some of those character designs of like the Joker and the Riddler and a Penguin are just crazy. They don't. I mean, they're such cartoons, but absolutely who they are, and they're amazing. And yeah, man, I or like Superman for All Seasons and Catwoman and Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, Captain America, all that stuff that he did.
This double page spread of Catwoman. I mean, that's
I mean, he's just absolutely amazing, and it's a shame. Way too soon. And unfortunately never got to meet him. I never did. I know that I actually had Richard Starkings. You guys of course know, and we remember from our early days of Around Comics. He has been on the show, Windy City Comic-Con, and I still remember, and now even more so, had kind of always regretted the fact that I remember Richard had told us at one point, I don't remember what the reason was behind it or what it was, but he's like, I think it was if we were going to do Windy City Comic-Con 3, he was going to have Tim Sale come, and we didn't do Windy City Comic-Con 3. And I've always thought about that at one point. Whenever Tim Sale's name came up, I was like, God damn it, I wish I would have, we could have hung out with him and got to know him. But I know Richard was, him and Tim were real good friends. And so I don't know, just sucks. It just fucking sucks.
This is my my Batman Ego and Other Tales hardcover that I did get to meet Tim Sale briefly. And he signed at the top of the
Well, thanks for rubbing that in, Chris. I really appreciate it. Rub that salt in the wounds.
This is my Tim Sale
this moment to show off.
And I'll never forget.
Way to make it all about you and
this was at WonderCon, and so I go to Tim Sale, and it was when I say meet, it was a convention. I went to his table to have him sign some books.
You paid him money.
He was
to sign your book.
I think I probably gave the Hero Initiative whatever, because he was one of those creators. Like Tim Sale didn't need your money to sign autographs, so he would always have a Hero Initiative donation. He was active in Hero. He was just a wonderful human being. So he signs this, and I remember like later that night I went to Isotope Comics, James Syme's store. And Darwin was doing a signing. I wanted to get New Frontier and the Batman Ego book. And he opens it up and he goes, Sale, that fucking cunt signing at the top of the page. So I, to edge me out. And he was upset at how high on the page Sale signed his name, which I just thought was kind of hilarious.
Sounds very Darwin.
It was very Darwin.
Yeah. So we'll miss Tim Sale.
You had alluded to earlier that he was in failing health for a while, because wasn't there a project announced out of the Daredevil Yellow, Captain America Red, White, and Blue series that he was going to do again, and then it just kind of never happened?
I honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah, with Loeb, I think there was another Loeb project that was announced, and that I never saw anything from it.
Yeah, I like I said, he hadn't done anything in quite a while. I don't remember the last thing he did do, but it's a shame we won't see anything more from him, because he was a fucking master, and I absolutely love his work.
It was Paste Pot Pete Purple.
That would be amazing.
I'd buy it.
I
would read it.
It looks like he did the stuff on, remember the TV show Heroes, so he had done all the stuff that was in that.
Oh man, Heroes.
Yeah, I don't know. 2007 was Superman Confidential. 2015, a Captain America White limited series was announced in 2008, but only issue 0 was published. The long-delayed project finally saw print in September of 2015. So yeah, he must have around that time. So I don't know what it was, but yeah,
I'm assuming it was probably cancer.
yeah, probably fucking.
Fucking.
But yep.
All right, so we
Go
didn't
read
want
his
to-
stuff. Go read his.
on a somber night. It's or a somber note. It's certainly we want this to be a celebration of the man's work and his contribution to comics and entertainment and all that. I loved his work. I think we all loved his work. So yeah, it's sad that he's gone, but certainly want to go back and then I'm going to read Long Halloween probably this weekend and remember again why I love that series.
Yeah, well, and there was a special that came out this year, the Batman Long Halloween special.
Mm-hmm.
That came out in December, or maybe it was October. I don't remember last year. That was really good. So I don't know if that was stuff that was previously. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that was Jeff Loeb and Tim's. I would imagine their last collaboration. So yeah, go read his stuff, man. If you haven't read, like I said, not everything is obviously amazing as far as story wise, but art wise, there's nothing that he did that wasn't good.
Yeah.
So
Daredevil Yellow is awesome.
Yeah, I just did it's funny. I just did a podcast on that. I don't remember who I did it with, but some podcast had asked me to come on, and I think it was I can't remember their name. British guys, kids, and so that was fun talking about Daredevil Yellow for a while. I hadn't read it in a while, so rereading it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably pick up every year. I pick up one of Tim Sale's books and read it just because it's just the art alone is just fucking. I mean, the Long Halloween is 12 issues and it's just like page after page after page of awesome, amazing goddamn art. And
you can't read it fast. I mean, you can, but you don't want to.
I don't even know if I read it anymore. I think I just look at it. I don't even think I read the words.
You want to curl up and spend time with it.
So, yep, great stuff. Great stuff. All right.
Sadness. All right. So, as you may have noticed out there, got busy, summertime stuff going on. So, we're back on our regular Thursday schedule, I believe. No,
I won't. I'll be in. Well, maybe next Thursday. But I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what my internet's going to be from where I'll be at. So if I have good internet, then yes, I'll.
All right. So we're gonna work on this.
This regular schedule thing. One day we'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
One day we'll have a schedule.
Yeah.
Regular.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, there's gonna be.
I mean, it's regular in the sense that if it's gonna happen, it'll be Thursday.
Right?
Around 8-ish, 8:15.
Yeah.
That's as regular as we get.
And if it's not happening, then it's not happening.
Yeah. We'll figure it. Sal may give me the password to access stuff, and so we might, even bring on a guest at some point. But we'll figure that out.
I know what happens when that starts. Then I'm off the show. You guys are
no. You own the URL.
I forgot.
That's right. Show. Yeah, you start bringing in guests that you don't like.
Oh well, there's a few of those. No, I like everybody.
Piper.
I love Will. What are you talking about?
I know you do. And when you have some fucking time on the weekend to record with us, we're going to record K-Billy Super Sounds. It is time for Django Unchained.
Django!
And then we have Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. So we have like 3 months left.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico? In Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. 2 different shows or 2 different movies. Both great.
Well, one's great. One's
One's great. One's okay. I'll watch that again.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I watched World War Z again last night for the first time in years. It's a really good zombie movie.
Is it the best zombie movie?
No, it's a really good zombie movie.
It's all right.
It's a good movie. I enjoyed World War Z.
I watched the Kentucky Fried Movie last night for the first time ever.
Wow. Are you Carbondale graduates, my friend?
John Landis movie. It's not a good movie. It's a terrible movie, but
it spawned so much amazing.
It did. Yeah, it's a really awful, horrible. Like in multiple ways, it's horrible. I mean, especially at this point in time. But yeah. And then strangely, like there's a weird, like I never seen a movie that has like a 3-minute trailer to begin the movie, but then the rest of the movie is not that much about the trailer. It's like a very strange concept of how to make
it. Different time, my friend.
Yes, it certainly was. It's
gonna be what, 70?
Yeah, I don't, something like that. Yeah, maybe before that even. I don't know.
Yeah, that's going back. So, all right, well, guys, it was, man, I missed y'all. We hadn't talked in like forever.
3 months. It was like 3 months since we talked.
It felt like 3 months. It really did.
It wasn't. It was like 3
weeks.
weeks.
Let me put it this way: the Cardinals were 4.5 games back the last time we talked. Now they're 2 games up.
Hey, look at that!
There you go.
Baseball's dead to me. Sports are dead to me.
You
just like Tony La
Russa.
Russa.
You need to fire your manager.
Hey, I never wanted the old fucker to begin with.
You need to fire your manager.
You told me it would be okay. You promised me he still knew how to manage.
I didn't take senility into account.
Yeah.
Instead of falling asleep behind the wheel, he's now falling asleep in the dugout.
Right. But Tom, your manager is awesome.
I give up. Sports are I just watch sports movies now, and I root for whatever athlete is in the movie. I watched Hustle with
how was that? Hustle?
It was good. I for a movie with Adam Sandler that's not funny, really. I mean, it's
a drama.
It's not unfunny, but it's not a comedy really at all. There's maybe
did you like Uncut Gems?
I loved Uncut Gems. I thought it was terrific. Yeah. This isn't quite at the level of Uncut Gems.
No.
But it's a really fun, kind of heart. It's a very typical sports movie, but done with a little more like cleverness and heart. And actually,
there's a lot of real NBA players.
Ton of them, and like street ballers and Dr. J's in it, and and the guy
they were very serious about not using professional actors in those roles.
Oh yeah, and they're really the guy that plays the main character is terrific. I mean, he does some emotional stuff.
Utah, right?
I don't know where he was with the Celtics at one point.
I think he plays for the Jazz.
Could be, yeah. He really, really good. And then the guy who's like the villain is I only know his name in the movie. It's Kermit's Wiltz or something like that, but I don't know the actual name.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, Anthony is he's terrific. He's the bad guy. He's sort of just,
he's awesome. He's also just an awesome player and a great interview if you've ever seen any
that doesn't surprise me at all. That
interviews with him.
Yeah,
there was some interview he just did that was really funny where he was talking about like I'll send it to you. He was talking about some other basketball player that when he was getting drafted and he had a tryout for the Warriors and Steve Kerr was giving him a hard time about like not running fast enough like during like drills. And it was funny because he was like, he's like, oh, I mean, I'm going as fast as I can. And Steve Kerr is like, Steph Curry does this a whole lot faster than what you hear. And he was sort of talking about like, you mean like, one
of the greatest players of all time?
He was sort of like, I like have to like, he's like, I called my trainer and was like, I gotta get fat. Like I gotta get faster.
Faster than Steph Curry.
Yeah, like I gotta like up my, up what I'm doing. Like if I'm gonna, because he was like he was the first pick in the draft the year that he got drafted.
He thought he was the shit, and then Steve.
Kerr, and it's like you gotta.
Steve Kerr played with fucking
this ain't it, dude.
Right?
Yeah, man, this ain't it, dude. You gotta go a whole lot faster.
This ain't college. Drills. This ain't college, baby. You're in the NBA. Well, that was the interesting. Like, I don't know. I have no idea how an NBA player or a college player trying to get in the NBA trains. But the interesting, like a big part of this movie is sort of like him training for the combine. And Adam Sandler's character is sort of, training him to enter the combine. And like some of the workout shit that they show him doing is just like ridiculous hand-eye coordination stuff. Yeah. Like at one point he's like dribbling a basketball as fast as he can. Then he has to stop, touch another ball that's in front of him, go back to dribbling. And then when they say shoot, he has to throw it through a tire and then grab it. It just like, and he's doing it all as, because he is an NBA player. As they're filming it, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, how is that even possible? How does someone even do this shit? Like, it's amazing, how unbelievably athletic these guys are.
To go back to one of our favorite TV shows from this past year, Winning Time was really good at showing how awesome Magic Johnson was.
Well,
have you ever seen the video of the dribbling drills that Pete Maravich used to do? Because he used to do this crazy drill where he takes the ball and he bounces it as fast as he can between his legs and catches it in his back and bounces it back and forth between, like, where he's just like ricocheting it like hard and fast, and he's just like catching it behind his back and throwing it back through, and he's just like, it's like sounds like a machine gun because he's just like going like as fast as he can. With the ball.
I've always considered myself a pretty decent athlete for a short, not really, athletically built guy. I mean, I surprise people with how athletic I am, but it's like there are, the ridiculous amount of athleticism in that at that level. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind boggling.
They do stuff like they
inhuman,
stand on like a exercise ball and they're dribbling. Like they're balancing on a ball, just like
I think that
insane...
I think he was doing that. He was balancing on something, dribbling with one hand, and he had a rope, one of those training ropes, in the other, doing it as fast as he can as he's fucking. I'm like, I can't even do that. Like I couldn't do it slow, let alone fast.
I couldn't get on the ball, the exercise ball. I couldn't balance on the exercise ball.
I did have
and now you also want me to dribble a basketball and do this
at the same time. Instead. I could barely walk and chew gum. Yeah, I did have a funny thing at the gym. I had a guy who was about, 10 years younger than me. And a guy I trained with regularly, so we're friends, but he loves
like his 50s.
No, he's in his 30s. But he loves to talk shit. He just, and it's fun. It's not, there's no malice behind it. It's just he likes, he likes to talk shit. He was talking shit about training from your feet as opposed to a lot of jiu-jitsu. You just start on the ground. If you're just training, and you don't necessarily start on the feet. One, because it's a lot more dangerous to start on the feet, and especially for old guys, it's like getting thrown to the ground or that kind of shit. And he was talking shit to me about like, oh, if we started on the feet, I'd kill you. Because I beat him up in the gym all the time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And so we get to the gym the other day and he's still talking trash about it. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. You want to start on the feet? That's fine. And I already know, it's like, dude, I already know I've been training with you for like 5 years. I know what kind of an athlete you are. I know what kind of an athlete I am. And I know how this is going to end. It's not going to go, but I'm just like, whatever, you want to give it a shot. So we started and he goes, the first time he grabs me and he tries to do like a judo toss, but he hasn't actually done one in, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And so he just like falls to the ground with me on top of him. And I just land on him and kind of smash him into the ground. So I'm like, okay, are we done? Did you have enough of that? And he's like, no, fuck that. I'm like, okay. So he starts again and he goes to do like a double leg takedown and he shoots on me. And I just sort of pivot out of the way and he literally falls face first on the ground. And I just jump on his back. And for the next hour, we did nothing but give him shit about how terrible his double leg takedown was. And I'm like, okay, are we done? Are you finished with this dream of your athletic abilities now? Are we finished now? Yeah. It's that thing of like, you look at the guys on TV doing things that don't seem that hard. That doesn't seem that anybody could probably, and then, but the reality of like, holy fuck, is it unbelievable how inhuman these guys really are.
So I started playing disc golf this year, and so we go out and play disc golf every week.
I wasn't good.
It's a
typical.
Add it to the repertoire.
No, it's just fun. It's a nice way to get out, get some, some exercise.
Bocce balls soon. Huh? Nothing. No,
we're just it's a way. For me, it's a way to get to know Milwaukee a little bit more by going around, finding the different parks, whatever.
Get out your devil sticks.
But there is like this entire weird subculture of disc golf, like world champion disc golf players, and like this. There are people who are inhumanly good at this.
What's the number one disc golf podcast?
I don't know.
This
one.
Yeah,
right now.
It's out there. It exists. It's
Around Comics Patreon subscribers. Patrons
actually
get access to our first disc golfer.
Is Tim Callahan. You remember we had him on as a guest back in the day.
Check out our big disc. No,
yeah. No,
big disc energy.
Big disc energy. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's got to be a disc golf podcast. If it isn't,
I mean, have you? Neither one of you guys ever played disc golf?
I did about 20 years ago.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, no, it's a nice thing to do in a park. It's a nice,
right?
Fun. It's a lot of stoners.
There's a fucking tour. There's world standings and that kind of stuff. It's like anything else.
Of course, there's minutia.
Big Disc Energy is a 2020 anthem song by Jamez Pro and Starframe.
Right.
I don't know who either of those people are, but it is a disc golf anthem.
Yeah. It's always weird finding these like weird niche like subcultures.
Big Disc Energy was founded in 2020 with the goal of providing discs to Kitchener, Waterloo, Southern Ontario, and eventually all of Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Bold.
I did always find it funny that there was like different, discs. There's like a driver, there's like a chipper,
range, putter.
Seems like a lot.
It seems like
a little left, some that track a little, west left. It's nuts. It's minutia, man. It's like anything else.
I have not played in quite a while, but I used to be really good at getting them stuck in trees. That was my skill.
That was your true move.
That was inevitably I would get discs stuck in trees. That was about as good as I was. Not a great disc golfer. I'm definitely not on track to be a champion disc golfer.
Okay.
No, but it's a nice way to go out on a Wednesday afternoon and walk like 3 miles.
Oh, they don't have any apparel. I wanted a Big Disc Energy t-shirt.
Big Disc Energy.
Yeah, they got the brand, they got the discs, but then they don't have the t-shirts.
Where's the shirts?
Yeah, come on, guys. Come on, Canada. They got a quick stick. What the hell is a quick stick? Quick stick, the extra long, is the longest, strongest, easiest, and best retriever, made with a reach up to 22 feet and collapses just 18 inches.
Oh, those are for whenever you get them in a fucking tree.
I did not have that back. It's $75. $75?
Oh my God.
Holy crap. That's pretty expensive for a long stick.
All right, enough about your long stick.
Whoa!
Let's finish this one up. We have probably a trade talks on our next episode. Yes.
Sure. I have to read that, but that's probably a good idea.
You remember what it is, right?
It's that samurai bunny.
Yeah.
Usagi Yojimbo, Volume 1.
That's what I said.
Available on Hoopla, or your finer comic shops and online retailers.
If you say Samurai Bunny really fast, it kind of sounds like Usagi Yojimbo. Samurai Bunny. Kind of,
Bunny?
a little bit.
Not sound like
You're not saying it fast enough.
At all. All right, so probably next episode we'll trade talks Usagi Yojimbo by Stan Sakai, Volume 1. We'll have some extra content out for the Patreon. Thanks everyone for listening. Glad to be back. Missed you guys.
For now.
Missed you guys.
Aw.
It's been hard.
What?
It's me and the dogs and Marta.
Well, that is not a life that I wish on anyone.
I know. Right? Just sit around, going on websites, buying Japanese baseball hats. All right, guys. We'll be back hopefully next week. In the meantime,
in between time,
we'll be everywhere in
hand around comics.
Japanese baseball hats.